What's new, 802? I'm Becca Hammond, and you are listening to Burlington Talks. Burlington Talks may include graphic or explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. For those of you who don't know, there is a new board game cafe in Burlington. I've hung out a couple times and played a few games on a few different nights, and it was a lot of fun. There's so many different games there. You really ought to go check it out. And for this episode, I was lucky enough to interview Kerry Winger, who is the owner of the Boardroom. Kerry, thank you so much for being on the show today. Can you tell me your name and then whatever you want to share about yourself?
My name is Kerry Winger. I am the owner of Vermont's first board game cafe, the Boardroom. I live in Colchester. I spent the majority of my life as an adult in Vermont and other areas, and I wanted to bring something to the community that was different and entertaining and fun that gave people like me who don't go outside a lot something to do.
Most of us don't get outside enough in the winter anyway. We all have cabin fever. So can you tell me a little bit about how the cafe works? I got to go in and it is so cool, but since no one can see it, since it's a podcast, can you kind of describe it for everyone?
Yeah. So when you come in, there is a $6 table fee. And what the table fee does is that helps us cover our library of 540 games. Military and first responders with ID are free. They don't have to pay a table fee. And Sundays is Sunday Fun Day, and kids under 12 are free. You come in, you take a seat. We are full service. We have a full menu. We have our games arranged in alphabetical order. Card and dice games are pulled out and have their own shelving section. And all the games are rated on difficulty, as in difficulty to understand the instructions and be able to play. We have 2 floors. We have an upstairs that's all tables, and downstairs we have a couch, like living room seating area. Then we have some tables, and then we have another small, like living room seating area, and then we have the actual boardroom, which is a giant boardroom table that people can sit at in groups and hang out and play games.
Where was the giant table?
It was downstairs. If you went down the stairs, it was all the way to the left.
I think I might have missed it.
There's a picture of Pokemon playing poker above it.
Yeah, I think I definitely missed that.
And there's a big whiteboard on wheels, which is perfect for playing Pictionary or D&D and things like that, because you can track stuff on the whiteboard.
So how many people can fit at the big table? This sounds cool.
The big table, you can fit 6 comfortably. You can have 8 to 10 around it. The seating area with the couch, this weekend we had, I want to think 10 or 11. It's a little cramped, but everybody naturally gravitates towards the couch if they're a big group and they're going to play group games as opposed to tabletop board games.
Those couches looked so comfortable and amazing, and it just has such a chill vibe as soon as you walked in. I just want to just hang out and play some games. Exactly what it evokes.
That is truly what I was shooting for. Purple tufted couches just make people want to hang out, and that is the most coveted spot in the whole cafe are the couches, and people that come in, if they've been in before, that's the first place they go and check.
That's what I was thinking, is it's kind of almost a little exclusive because you don't see them when you first walk in, and then you realize they're there and you want to sit in them immediately.
The one underneath the stairs, which is the love seat and 2 chairs and a big coffee table, people tend to camp out there, and by camp out I mean spend 8 hours. We have people that come in and spend an hour, and we have people that come in and spend 8 hours or more playing games.
Is it the same table fee if you stay all day?
$6 all day. You just can't leave.
Right. You can't walk away and then
you can't leave for a couple hours
come back.
and come back. And
well, that's a wicked good deal if you want to hang out and play games all
day. It is. And you don't have to have reservations. We don't really do reservations. unless you want we rent out the whole downstairs. So you could have a birthday party in the whole downstairs all to yourself.
Which would be really cool because that's like the coolest area.
That is. And, on Sundays when kids are there, we try to keep all the kids upstairs and the adults downstairs so they can play a little bit more of the children free games, the ones that are not safe for work.
Right.
We have a special shelf for those.
Is that down in the basement?
That's downstairs. It's on top of a calyx. The kids can't reach them.
Yep. Makes sense. Good spot for them.
Yeah. Cards Against Humanity, things like that.
Which is an amazing game. Love Cards Against Humanity. I think I own Cards Against Humanity and Trivial Pursuit. That's
you could not get any further apart if you tried.
Yeah, pretty much. Completely different. And to be honest, I don't play the Trivial Pursuit very much. So the space, the actual building that you're in, did you completely renovate that for the restaurant?
That was not me. We originally were looking at spaces closer to Church Street, and we just couldn't find a space. And I saw this space online, and the ceilings looked really low. And the realtor said, just come look at it. And we went and we looked at it. Well, we being me, and decided, I think this is going to work. Brisson Properties owns the building. And if you go on to like our Kickstarter page, or if you Google it, 7 Days did a story on that building because it used to be a white, janky brick building. That
I think I remember that.
Yep. Right as soon as you crossed the bridge, it was there. And then all of a sudden it got jacked up. And it was that way for quite a while. And then the next thing you know, it was a building. The building is one of the oldest industrial buildings in Burlington. And I think it was 1927 when the bridge flooded out in Winooski. It took out the floor, the main floor of where the cafe is. It just wiped it all out. It was a little store, and it also had a blacksmith shop in it at one point. But it was just like the corner store. It actually had Coca-Cola painted on the side of the building. The flood came through, took the building out, and they never repaired it.
Yeah,
that's why when you drive by now, you look up and there's a door really high up in the air, and you're like, that makes no sense.
Okay, that's interesting. I feel like I've noticed that and thought that exact thing.
So Brisson Properties, they like to restore older buildings. So they came in and put in all the beams. There's no screws. They plaster and laughed all the walls, and they tried to get it as original as they could. And yeah, it's a great space. It has the I want to hang out here for a long period of time vibe. It's cozy, it's comfortable, and it's different.
Yeah, it is. I keep on trying to think of a place to kind of compare it to, but I can't think of one.
Yeah, it's just so woody. There's so much
wood, but there's also the brick.
Yeah, if you go downstairs into where the seating areas are, you'll see where windows once were. And when you're on the main floor and you look out our windows, they are pretty much level with the road. You're looking at parked cars. And if you go down the stairs, you see where the windows once were. And it just shows you how high the road has risen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had no idea that area changed that much. I guess it does make sense if the flood came through and wiped it all out.
I'm supposed to be getting pictures from my landlord so we can hang them up so people can look if they're interested. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like it's cool that you're part of history, even if you aren't as close to Church Street as you'd liked.
I like this a little bit better. This fits me more than Church Street would have fit me. My cafe is for everybody, whether you live here or not. But being where I am gives locals more of an opportunity to come here than tourists.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is I feel like if it had been closer to Church Street, it probably would have been crazy, which obviously is a good thing for a business. But it probably would have been people that aren't they might not have as many repeat customers, people, either college students or...
Yeah. This is where we are, makes it feel like it's more for the community as opposed to more for tourists. I worked at the health department downtown and just trying to park and get in and out of downtown. When I wasn't working, the last place I'd want to go was downtown. And it's just difficult. But, Winooski, we are in Burlington, but we're on the other side of the bridge. But Winooski has really, changed the downtown area. They have great restaurants, things like that. And it's good to be so close to where so many things are happening. And like the Chase Mill and Pingala and the tattoo shop that's in there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right around that circle, right around the bridge, up and down along the river. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot going on. So it's a really cool place to be.
Awesome. So let's talk about the food a little bit, because you come in, you're chilling out, you've got all these games. You have I can't imagine a game that you wouldn't have. I'm sure they exist, but I don't know them. What are you going to eat while you're chilling out?
So years ago, I said, I want to open up a restaurant that just sells peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and milkshakes. And my menu is a gamer's menu. You can get a big bowl of popcorn, a bucket of bugles that legitimately come in a pail. You can get a plate of pickles. You can get a gas station grinder, which if you're from Vermont, I'm not talking about Cumberland Farms or any of the big corporate stores. I'm talking about the mom and pop stores where you stop at the gas station and go in. It's like an old country store, and they make you a grinder, and it's the best one you've ever eaten. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, all different kinds, grilled cheese, fried bologna sandwiches, cookie dough, gluten-free cookie dough. Yeah, we just got milkshakes that are just over the top, floats.
Donuts.
Yeah. Donuts. The donuts are amazing.
They really are. Mm-hmm. Do you make them fresh?
So we get the donuts. They're just plain. There's nothing on them. And we heat them up in the oven and grill them. And then, so the donuts that Becca's talking about are, you can get a plate of 3 or you can get them individual. One's glazed. And if you just get the glazed, it tastes like a Krispy Kreme because we heat them up, we take them out of the oven, we put the glaze on. But the other 2 are, one is bacon and peanut butter on the inside, with glaze on top. And my favorite is the raspberry jam and fluff with glaze on. It's enough sugar to stop your heart, but it is so good. And one of our most popular things is our hot chocolate. We have the absolute best hot chocolate around. And everybody who drinks it agrees, reviews say it. It's just really good hot chocolate.
So the peanut butter and bacon donut was amazing.
I just want people to eat fun food and grilled cheese sandwiches and chips, and because you don't want to eat a plate of spaghetti and then play $150 board game, or I don't want you to, but I just wanted to have fun food that makes you think of hanging out when you were younger or as a teenager or whatever, eating junk food, playing games. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about you coming in and making memories, seeing a game that you haven't seen since you were a child, Mousetrap, and sharing your memories with it, with whether it be your kids, your grandkids, friends, or whatever. That's what it's about. We have Shirley Temples, and we put the paper umbrellas in them, and we do Roy Rogers, and we put the swords in them. It's all about the little things. When you get your check, you get a plate of cotton candy. Why? Why not?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I was really impressed with it. I was impressed how late you guys were open. You had quite the swing on your hours.
Yeah, we are not open during the day. That was an executive decision made by me. I don't want to have to pay my staff to sit around and stare at each other. Actually, they don't stare at each other when we're not busy. We're playing games because there's so many new games to learn. But we open during the week at 5 and we close Tuesday through Thursday at 11, Friday night, midnight, and Saturday is noon to midnight, and Sunday's 11 until 8. If it ends up that we start, continue to stay super busy and we need to extend hours on Sundays or open early on Saturdays, then that's what we'll do. But so far, we have people coming in at 9 o'clock at night and sitting down to play games.
That's just when a lot of people want to play games. That's because that's when you're relaxing and you want to hang out with your friends and just chill out. And it's so much better to do something like this and go play some games and actually talk to your friends than to put on Netflix and not talk to your friends and stare at your phone all night, which I am 100% guilty of.
If you did, I don't know if you noticed, we had signs hanging up that say no Wi-Fi, play board games, talk to each other.
Yes, I did see that. And it's a perfect sentiment. It's a perfect place to do that.
And we don't get a lot of people sitting in there, believe it or not, staring at their phones. Most people are really enjoying the moment, enjoying the thrill of it all.
I think it would be really hard to walk in there and ignore all of the things you guys have going on because there's so many colors, there's so many games to look at immediately. You just want to look at all the games because I'd never seen most of them. If you're someone who likes games, you're going to be wanting to dig through all of them just to see if they have something you haven't seen before.
Oh, most definitely. We actually put a list online because people were asking. We get phone calls. Somebody called me yesterday asking if we had a specific game because they wanted to come in and play it. And, we also do take suggestions if there's certain games. And some games are so popular. We're with our distributor, we're on waiting lists to get them.
Oh, wow.
And I try other means to get them, but there's some games that are just really became way more popular than the distributor and the developers planned.
I can't believe you have that many games.
And we have, there's a lot of local game developers, and there's 2 or 3 that come in, and we carry their games and we showcase their games and we sell games and display their games. And in January, when we start doing more activities, developers are going to come in on developer nights and showcase their games and teach people to play them and answer questions. Because everybody's like, oh, you know what? I've had this great idea for a game, but I don't know where to start. Well, these are people who have started and made games and sold them. So it's a huge industry, huge.
I had zero idea there was anyone making games in the area. What kind of games came from Vermont?
From Vermont. There's one called Capital Vices. It's a card game. The guys that developed it actually work at, what can I think of it? Dealer.com.
Oh, cool.
And they come in quite a bit. And their company is... Sorry guys, I have to look it up because I can't. It's Concept something. Concept Medley.
Yep.
And they make Capital Vices. There is a group of guys that made a game called Pigs versus Monsters, and they've been in. There are a group of guys that made Dinogenics. And they just did their second Kickstarter campaign, just ended. So it was an addition to it. This summer at the fairgrounds, the Champlain Games Festival had an event there that was board games. And there was a lot of local people there.
Is there any one game that really sticks out to you that the whole community is just really into?
Wingspan and Scythe.
Never even heard of either of those. Wingspan and Scythe.
Scythe, yep.
Okay.
Wingspan right now is, there's one more, Secret Hitler. Wingspan is very, very popular. It's hard to get right now. It was one of the games that came out and they didn't realize how big it was going to be. It has all the birds of North America.
Oh.
And it's an engine developed game. And I didn't say it right, and my guys are going to kill me. What you're doing is you are doing actions that reap benefits after the fact. It's a really fun, relaxing game. The birds are beautiful. The eggs look like the little Cadbury eggs at Easter. They're all pastel. It's a great game. It changes.
It sounds really cute.
It's super cute. It's beautiful. And it changes every time you play because the outcomes change. Unlike games that most of us grew up with where you roll the dice, move the mice, a lot of the newer modern games don't really even have boards, or you have an individual board in front of you. And when you play games like Monopoly and Life, you know what's going to happen. Every single time you know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know that somebody's going to get Boardwalk and Park Place, and then they're just going to tear everybody down because they're going to put hotels on. It's just going to end the game. You know that's what's going to happen. In life, you know somebody is going to have a litter of kids, have the most money. You know what's going to happen. In these newer games, you don't know what's going to happen because every time it's a completely different game. Your objectives change every time you play. You reach in the bag, you pull out 4 different objectives and lay them down every time. So it's always going to be different. Secret Hitler is another game that's really popular. It's a game where there's a group of fascists and a group of liberals, and the liberals are trying to get rid of the fascists, and the fascists are trying to elect Hitler. And it's a conspiracy game where you're trying to determine who is Hitler. It sounds really funny. It is really funny. And the liberals on all the cards are portrayed as people, and the fascists are all displayed as like reptiles, like Hitler, I think, if I'm correct, is a lizard. Scythe is a huge game that takes probably about 4 hours to play, 2 to 4 hours to play. And you're building and creating and growing and defending, and it comes in a big, huge box. But, those are really popular. We have people that come in that there are specific games, and then you have people that come in and grab Mousetrap and grab Trouble and Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride. And other people have no idea what they want to play, and that's what we're there for. Myself and my staff can help you pick a game. And not only can we help you pick it, sometimes we can teach it to you. There's a lot of games that we know that we can teach to you. And it's great because it gets people introduced to new styles of game as opposed to the Milton Bradley and the Parker Brothers.
Your employee, I'm not sure what his name was, but he was fantastic, who showed us the domino game. King Domino, which is
either Matt or Justin. It was one of the two, and I'm probably gonna say it was Matt because that's one of his favorite games is King Domino.
He broke that down for us in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we successfully played that game after listening to him tell us how to play it in 2 or 3 minutes. And it was fun. It was cool. Like I was telling you earlier, I think that might be a game I would actually enjoy owning, which I don't own a lot of games. So that's kind of fun for me.
It is. And, when I interviewed to hire for my wait staff, I didn't care whether they could wait tables or not. I could teach that. I can't teach somebody to love games with a passion and be able to explain it to people. That's the key. I love a lot of games, but a lot of them I can't explain to you how to play. And that is just a sheer talent. And we do Dungeons and Dragons. 3, 4 of my staff members are dungeon masters. One truly loves children, is very animated. She's really active in the theater. she's going to do a class for kids. I have another guy, Justin, who does it every Sunday. He does one-offs. You come, he gives you a character, you play for 3 hours, and you go home. You're not doing a 1-year campaign. So starting in January is when we're really going to start to branch out. And we've seen what people want and heard about what people want to do. And we're going to start having different activities all the time that people can sign up for.
Dungeons and Dragons is one that I've always thought sounds really interesting, but it has this huge learning curve that for me, I'm terrified of. I just don't have the willpower.
That's what you need a one-off for, and that's the perfect thing. You come in, you play once. Somebody's already built your character. You come in, you play once. And a lot of the stuff, especially if you have kids want to play Magic, and kids want to play Keyforge, and kids want to play D&D. And as a parent, you have no idea where to start. Yeah. And that's where my staff can help before you go out and buy everything under the sun, to tell you, hey, you know what? Why don't you try this first and see how they do?
Yeah, that's awesome. You should almost put like beginners D&D, because for
Beginners,
me,
that's what
like,
it is.
Oh my gosh, that's what I need, because I can't play that game.
Exactly, that's what it is. I am going to do one for adults, which is Tales from Equestria, which is My Little Pony.
Is it legitimately My Little Pony?
It is legitimately My Little Pony.
Is it a hard game, or is it?
It's like D&D. It's
Wow.
a role-playing game.
Wow.
So you're a pony, and you have to make decisions, and the decisions have outcomes, and you have to roll the dice, and that helps you determine. It's kind of like the books from the 80s, Choose Your Own Adventure. You get read a story, and you have two options. Do you go through the door, or do you run the other way? And whatever you do changes the outcome of the story.
I bet these games are way cooler than those books were, though.
I don't know. They actually have turned those books into games now.
Have they? Because every time I ever tried to do one of those books, it would end after 2 or 3 pages.
That was me. I never made
the bad choice.
I always made the bad choices and I always died. And even if I kept making other choices, it never turned out well for me either.
One time, I literally took the book and I went backwards. I went into page like 70 and went backwards to try and figure out how to get there. And I could not figure out how you were supposed to get there.
I actually still have some of those books and still can't get that far now. So I'm hoping with Tales from Equestria that they don't kill any of the ponies. So we should be pretty good.
I would hope they wouldn't. I don't know, though, because My Little Pony's become this whole, I don't even, it started as a little girls show.
It's a bronies.
And now it's become adult
grown men
really like it, but then everyone in between too. It's not just the adult men and the kids, it's random people.
Yeah, Jill deals with the children and I deal with the adults. I do stuff on Sundays with kids and help them out and pick games, but sometimes for me, I don't have as much time as my staff does to play games because even though it is all fun, it's still a business.
Right. Still got to do some work every now and then.
Yes, my favorite game is QuickBooks.
What a downer.
The right?
Numbers versus the games.
No one ever wants to play that with me. I ask people all the time. I used to be a state employee and it was very, very hard to find meeting space in Burlington.
Yeah.
And your choices are usually hotels and banquet halls and things like that. So one of the cool things that I wanted to do is after going to all these meetings and doing all these activities is I wanted to use my space to have people use it as a meeting space. It can be rented during the day since we have a full kitchen, we serve food. But a really cool aspect of that is games teach so much. Games can teach communication, they can teach teamwork, they can show you how whatever you think you're doing is right could potentially be wrong because you're not thinking of the rest of the group. There's just so much out there. So one thing that we do is we rent out the space for meetings, and my staff helps teach the people that come in games, which is one way to take your strategic planning meeting from extremely boring and slow to fun and interesting and get everybody involved. But at the same time, they're having fun, but they're learning at the same time. I mean, it's the same thing you do with kids. I'm going to teach you this game and you're going to love it. But at the same time, you just learn math. So that was important to me when I was writing my business plan, that I wanted to also have a space available just because it's so difficult to find one.
Yeah, I'm sure companies do.
Yeah.
Those sort of team building things.
Retreats, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, they do it right. I know a company literally a mile up the road from your location that does that with huge amounts of people.
Yeah, and this place, it's perfect for meetings. We have had people come in and do meetings and use the whiteboard and ask for specific menus and certain types of games. And, it was just really fun for them because, one, it got them out of the office. Two, we had everything they needed. We had tables, we had space, we had the whiteboard, whatever they need, we could accommodate to. And they got to interact with each other in a different way. They got to play a game and laugh and have fun and just build a stronger group dynamic.
Yeah, playing, gosh, I can't even think of a game that wouldn't really help build teamwork and better than the nonsense that I've had to do before that they call team building exercises that are just awkward and they take 10 seconds. So you don't build any teamwork. It's just kind of like throw a cotton ball at each other and then you're done. And then you kind of awkwardly walk away from these people that you were supposed to be building a team with, and you never even talk to them.
Yeah, there are so many games out there now that are cooperative, that instead of it being me against you, it's you and I against the game. And different things happen at different times. The game is throwing different things at you. Pandemic right now is one of the most popular cooperative board games. But there's other ones. Forbidden Island is a lot of fun. It doesn't take a lot of time. And you can play it with kids. You can bring small children in there, and we have games for kids. And some kids are far more advanced than other kids. So it's great that we have a huge, wide range of game options for everybody.
What inspired you to open the boardroom?
I've read a book.
Oh, really?
So to make a long story short, my family, I was an only child, so we never played games, ever. Very little. And I have grandchildren from my stepdaughter, and we have a camp, and we would go up to camp every weekend, and there's no electricity and no running water. There's a lake, and we started playing games, and my mom got really into it, and the girls got really into it. My husband did, and it just brought our family so much closer together. And we would play games for hours. We still do. I don't mean would in past tense. And I was at the library and I checked out the book, History of Board Games. And in the intro, they were talking about right outside of Central Park, there used to be a shop that only sold chess boards and chess pieces. And they had chess tables, and people would go there and play chess and hang out. And it was super cool. But as time moved on, that really wasn't profitable and really didn't work out well. So the space closed down and it opened up a board game cafe. And so I'm reading about this in this book, and I'm reading about this huge one in Toronto called Snakes and Lattes, which is our version of, Chutes and Ladders. It's originally was Snakes and Ladders. And the concept of it And then my husband and I traveled a lot, and we started going into them. And I'm like, you know what? This would be so much fun. I could serve peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and make milkshakes, and people can come in and make memories and start new traditions. And it would just be fun, because as an adult living in this area, we would have game nights at my house, and it would just get expensive for everybody because everybody bring a dish to share, and you feel like your house is not clean enough, and people want to stay really late and you want to go to bed. So I just started thinking about it, and one of my close friends named Max, we were at an exercise together for the state, and I'm like, hey, what do you think if I started a board game cafe? He's like, yeah, you should do that. And that was it. I started writing my business plan and doing the financials and going out and asking for money, and nobody would give us a loan. Nobody. My husband's active duty military, so we moved a lot. We hadn't lived in our house very long, so nobody would give us the money. And we weren't asking for an obscene amount of money. When I tell you the amount of money we were asking for, and when I put it into context, you're going to say, that makes no sense. We were looking for a loan of $55,000. People buy cars that cost more than that.
Easily.
Yes. We have spectacular credit. Nobody would. And as a last-ditch resort, there is a nonprofit in Barrie called Community Capital. And businesses go there to get loans they get the money from the Small Business Association.
Right.
And their biggest loan I think that they'd ever done was $10,000. So I sent them my business plan, and they came up and they checked out the space, and I explained to them everything that was going to happen. And they said, if you can show that people have interest in this and do a Kickstarter campaign and have it succeed, that'll show us. So we did a Kickstarter, and it succeeded. And it wasn't all my friends, and it wasn't all my relatives. It was people we didn't know, and people we didn't know giving us $500 or $100 and all kinds of stuff. And they ended up giving us the money. It's the largest loan that they have ever given to a company. And we were so thankful for it. So I quit my job at the state, and I cashed in my retirement and put it all in the business, which, what if I got to lose?
Right.
Is how we look at it. What if we got to lose? It's money. As long as I can, granted, I'm not getting paid yet, but as long as I can pay my employees for right now, we've been open a month and a half. I think today starts week 8.
Yep. Yeah, I was thinking that sounded about right.
We've been open 8 weeks, which is bananas considering the fact that we have not advertised anywhere yet. We haven't done a lot of things yet that need to be done. And we've had to turn people away at the door and take down their phone numbers and tell them we'll call them when a table opens up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear.
The night you were in was not that situation.
Oh, that was a fun night though anyway. It was nice and chill. I'd like to see it when it's bumping. It's
so much fun to be in there and to hear people laugh and to hear people say things that you never ever thought would come out of somebody's mouth. Especially downstairs. People start playing like Telestrations after dark or Red Flags. And then upstairs or even downstairs, you have people involved in playing Scythe and Terra Mystica and Terraforming Mars and all these games and just thoroughly enjoying themselves. And that's the fun part. I've created somewhere fun for adults to go that's not a bar, even though we serve beer. but it's not a bar. It's not really a restaurant. It's not the movies. It's a place that you go to intentionally hang out.
Yeah, to
and there's not a lot
play.
there's not a lot of places like that for adults. We can drop the kids off at the trampoline place. There's an indoor playground. There's all kinds of stuff. There isn't anything for us as adults to be dropped off at to find something to do. Yep. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something to do, whether you're a hardcore gamer and want to play all the newest games as soon as they come out, or if you're somebody that's just happy to play Monopoly or Uno and just want to have a fun night out. I mean, that's the cool part of it, that we have regulars now and we know their names and they know our names and we know what they're going to eat. And it's just a lot of fun to just talk about games with them and see people and have people say, you know what, this is the most fun I've had in a really long time. Or have somebody eat something that's off of our menu, like Hailstorm, and have people say, people in their 50s and older say, I haven't had this since I was a child in Europe. So things like that make me happy.
It's a great space. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited that you've jumped into this just because it seems like Burlington is the perfect area that has this great community vibe. I know personally probably 36 people who are obsessed with games of all varieties. They're everywhere. People love games.
It's made this huge resurgence just because there's only so much technology we can stand. I mean, everybody is involved in technology all day at work and at home, and kids have it at school and all these different things. It's nice to just get back to basics and do something that involves communicating with somebody else and thinking in different abstract ways than you normally would think.
Last question, because we're already at 45 minutes.
That's
amazing,
totally fine.
How quickly these things go. I always like to ask people, just because it's the Burlington Talks podcast, so I like to ask people what your favorite part of living in Burlington is, just the area. Even if it's not specifically Burlington, I kind of call this whole area the same area. It's all Burlington.
My favorite part, and I always realize it when we fly back from somewhere, is the fact that everything is green and there's no billboards, and no matter how big our cities are, which aren't very big or huge, everything still has that small town community feel. People in Vermont are way more interested in helping the community and helping each other and giving back. And it's just a really safe, nice place to live and raise your kids. And yeah, it's everybody leaves after they get out of high school. They can't wait to get out of here, but everybody always comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to believe everybody always comes back.
Yeah, it's very true. And I love the greenery in this state. I really miss it. This time of year, it kind of hurts a little bit waiting for the green to come back. But the fact that you can see trees and you can see mountains and the air is fresh.
The air is, yes. As soon as you step off the plane and step outside of our big airport and you breathe in, you're like, yeah, other places don't have that. We're just very fortunate and very lucky to live where we live and have what we have around here. It's special.
It really is. It's a special place. All right, Kerry, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. It's been great.
Yeah, this was really fun. I'm even more excited about the Boardroom Cafe. I said that right?
Yeah. The boardroom.
The boardroom. I'm so excited about it after talking to you. It seems even cooler now that I know a little bit more about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Kerry for being on the show. I had a great time talking with her. It was a lot of fun. Head over to the show notes page by going to burlingtontalks.com/07 or just burlingtontalks.com, and you will see the post in the carousel at the bottom of the homepage. There'll be links to everything we talked about, links to the Boardroom's Facebook page, their website. Whatever we discussed, there should be links to it. There'll also be a transcript of the show if you want to search through and find a specific section. Please subscribe to the show on your chosen podcasting platform and tell your friends and family in the area about it. If you'd like to be interviewed or know someone who should be, please reach out to me by email, becca@burlingtontalks.com, and that's Becca, Becca. You can also find me on Facebook at Burlington Talks. Just get in touch with me in general. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can now support the show by going to burlingtontalks.com/support. This show is currently funded by me, but I am going to be starting a subscription type service where you will gain access to goodies and events and just different little bonuses for helping support the show. Stay tuned for more details on that. Thanks so much for listening. Drive safe on the cruddy roads out there. That's what's new in the 802. Copyright January 7th, 2020. By Rebecca Hammond and Burlington Talks Podcast.